that just about, ooh, it wants to all sit squarely for me. There's perfect. Right. The sun behind me hitting those trees is absolutely brilliant, and I've got a full-fledged plate of colours to be working with. So we're going to pick up exactly where we left off yesterday and continue thrashing around just a little bit of paint. We'll see where it goes. Key players in this picture, we've already talked about this: black and those light colours, create an element of contrast. But as long as we, through the process of this work, can actually make sure the picture comes through that strong contrast, we can actually play around with a bit of colours, add colours in that we feel, add elements in that maybe might get missed in the photo. That's where a good bit of value is going to come from. Hello, Alex. You know, Alex, my brother's called Alex. Alex with only one X though, so there's a bit of a difference there. Right around the edges. Come down here a little bit. Arms of these chairs gonna come out this way and span down in some pretty fun ways. I see your favourite Kiwi's doing well. I'm happy. I'm out here with the birds, painting a pretty spectacular image. I'm just enjoying this lovely time of the evening, which, give it a few hours, will be quite similar to what the image in the actual painting will be. We're not on sunset yet, but we're in the evening hours, and soon the colour will completely change on us into a very, very, very similar palette. Which, full disclosure, I kind of like, because it creates a nice continuity with what we're painting. Big fan of that. How did I get into painting? Jeepers. How did I get into painting? Well, it's a long story. It starts when I'm about 2 years old. Maybe even younger. Just get this down here, right there we go. That's where I want it. I'm going to position it right there. That's the right place for that to be. I think that's perfect. When I was very young, I used to paint all the time. My mum made it easy. She'd always make sure there was paints in front of me. And in terms of what took me through high school and university, friend groups, I think when you've got friends and peers who are also interested in art, that's hard not to carry on through. We've all bounced off each other in some fun kind of way. But once I got to university, I stopped loving art so much because it felt less about the art. It was just art for art's sake. There was no why behind it. There was no compelling reason to be making it. Of course, they were encouraging us to search for a why. But the creation of art without a why is just, it's like a plumber or an electrician just making pipes, thinking they're going to be meaningful. There has to be purpose. Even though it's a crazy, wild form of expression, the expression needs purpose. It's not that a dancer has to reach a particular point on the floor in the dance, but the dancer's trying to achieve something through movement, and that goal's quite clear when they step out on the dance floor to make it happen. And I felt like that wasn't there in art school for me. And so I actually, don't get me wrong, I was great at walking the walk and talking the talk, and I was a straight A student in art school, but I actually dropped out after the first year and removed all my papers, not dropped out, but moved all my papers into art history and philosophy at a completely different university. The intentions behind that was I really wanted to get behind, well, first off, I could move my papers one for one across. But second off, the one thing I was grappling with was the why, and I wasn't going to get that from another year of more of the same. So I ran off into this other course, and ironically the philosophy and the art history took a bit of time, but it gave me back that why that I've been so intensely searching for. And once I got that back, well, that is a reason to make art, and that is a potency behind it. Can't believe I finally catch you live. Well, Michael, it's a pleasure to have you here. This live would not be the same place for you not being in it. So, welcome here. Hello, Grassroots. Merry Christmas. The KK Newley, the wife and the child, are very, very happy. She's not my wife. One day she will be. But partner and child is what you want to say. We hear a bit of wind, Seb. Can barely hear you. You must not have a mic today. No mic today. Yes, I've let you guys down big time. Sorry about that. I was actually supposed to charge it yesterday and I didn't. So that's on me, 100%. Hello from a Kiwi from USA. That's fun. Welcome in, Kiwi from USA. Whereabouts in the USA? You say Kiwi from the USA, but now you identify with surely you have a pseudo, at the very least, a pseudo home state. So where's home in the States for our USA Kiwi? Oh, there we go. Bang, California. Here we come. There we go. Let's just push this out through here. Absolutely gorgeous. Just like that. See these early layers as well. We want to get the colour right, but these kind of stronger, thicker, more brash kind of brush strokes are going to carry this work early on in the piece. Well, actually later on too, once I've added enough of this yellow in, and white and black, I'm going to need a brush that's actually half the size of this one, thinner. Still thick on the bristle front, but thinner. And once I get that one, well, then the fun's really going to start. Because we'll start dotting in some of those smaller brush strokes and see where we can take it. Why cover the lake with so much pastel? Why not keep it blue? Well, tell me, where in this image, in this glorious, fantastic image, do you see blue? Now there is a little bit. But the trick of actually painting the real picture, what's actually there in the image, is allowing your mind not to see grass as green, sky as blue, lakes as blue. And if you want to paint a true lake, especially if there's a bunch of reflections happening in it, well, that's going to bounce off the sky. And this sky has those lovely pastely yellows. Now in this case, and we've pulled it out for today, that colour there, our peach. Peach is going to play a massive role in this picture. Peach spliced with black, peach spliced with white, with all the colours. You can see as I start adding it in here. Yeah, it's not quite a pastel, it's got a juicier tone to it, which is kind of fun to play with. Nice shine. And it bounces across the sky here too. The trick with water as well, with a lake, any colour you add to the sky, always add to the water, and vice versa. As soon as you start just putting it in one, it makes no sense. You need that reflection occurring. The reflection is what carries it. There we go. Lovely. Sneak around the side here. We're just going to do our homework a little bit. Your homework's when you paint around the edges of the canvas. Because if you go the whole way around, you unlock the opportunity, the opportunity to have it as an unframed piece. You may not want to have it unframed, but don't remove yourself of the ability to do so, because that might be exactly what you want to do. Towards the end, you might think this raw effect actually makes this piece what it is. With the shearer, that picture of the New Zealand shearer, that's never been framed. That's become into its own, literally, and literally only because we did our homework. We don't want to put a frame on it now. Have you full tutorials on YouTube? Michael, that's actually a really good question. The answer's kind of, which I know that's the opposite of helpful. The answer's kind of, because you can get all the replays, and the big perk behind that versus live is you can quickly skip through. And so the philosophies we use to make art, they coincide through all the pictures, guys. Approach it with the right energy, have fun while you make it, enjoy the process, get a little bit of vitality, contagious joy, and try and transpose it. Be quite bold at the start and then bring in detail towards the end. And you can skip, so you can dive from the first 10 minutes to the last 3 hours or wherever you want to be. And that ability to skip is kind of in itself a tutorial where you can just find the moment that you actually want to look at. Oh, I see how I use red there, next part. I guess the frustration for me is when I sit there and watch YouTube tutorials, it's kind of hard to know where to skip to next, but you feel kind of shackled there to watch some arbitrary pieces of information. You know, how to connect so-and-so with so-and-so. And then as you're doing it, it's like giving you all of this abundant, noisy, pointless information. So, anyway. Which is funny because currently, as we paint here, you could argue, and argue well, that I'm giving you an abundance of pointless, airy-fairy information. So, it's just about what you're into. Do you teach your wife and family how to paint as well? Look, good question. No, I don't do painting with Shelby usually, not because I wouldn't, I'd love to. But what happens is, because one of us is always looking after our Dudums, our tiny little baby, the ability to paint together is not normally accessible. And with that in mind, the conversations though that we have around art are frequent. So think about it this way: Shelby's probably philosophically quite deep on the art front, but in the actual making of art, maybe less. But I feel like out of all the people, she has a very, very deep understanding of my personal process. Can I talk about your partner understanding you as well as you understand yourself? Well, in her case, she is quite intertwined with our painting method. Like, she's, you can't not be. I talk about it hours and hours a day, and then I pontificate with Shelby. So together, I'll just yarn and yarn and yarn, thinking about different ways. Because honestly, where we started 2 years ago and the way we viewed art, that has drastically changed in our approach today. And that's healthy, that's a good organic change. But the alteration that happens only comes from constantly wondering, where are we wrong? Where are we right? Where do we need to deviate? What needs to be altered? What needs to be changed? And anyway, that's a rabbit hole to go down. But constantly wondering, are we on the right track? Reevaluating everything, starting brick by brick. Imagining if you weren't an artist, what else would you be? We asked the Alan Watts question: if you had endless amounts of money, screeds of money, what would you do? And some people say, I want to be an astronaut. Some people say they want to be a writer. Some people say they want to be poets. So we couldn't do that. It's ridiculous. You won't make enough money. But when you really get down to it and ask yourself, who do you want to be? And what do you want to do? There is something that every person in their own way can land on. And when you find that, and you land on that, I mean, for me it's paint, guys. I know we've got fancy systems these days. I know we've got AI. I know we've got amazing cameras. But I feel like there's something in paint. I feel like there's something raw, exposed, real. Not just in the expression that a human can put on the canvas, but in that connection that one human can have with another through some kind of wild, expressive paint. If you look at a painting, you never feel like you're sitting there alone with the painting. You feel like in a brief moment there, you can feel what the artist felt or see what the artist saw. So it's actually less about a hero showing you a pretty picture and more about a human just trying to connect with someone else through space and time. So I love that. I really love that. And I like the fact that the more wild I go with the art, the more I can try and find my people and connect with them, because this is, I think the best way to put it is, this is my form of dance, this is my form of singing, this is my form of writing, this is my way of getting my heart and putting it outside this body I have and putting it into the world. And so that's a really, really special thing. Not just because art's special, because that's my way of doing it. You'll have your own way of doing it. Your only job, and sometimes it takes decades, sometimes it takes longer than decades, 10 years, 20 years, 40 years, however long it takes. Your only job is to try and figure out that one thing that really makes your heart sing. And it won't scream out at you the moment you do it. It won't. It's more of a whisper. The world's so noisy that I feel like one of the best things we can do is pursue little ways of trying to make it slow down. So for a brief moment, it's going to sound cheesy, but for a brief moment we can actually listen to our dreams. They're so easy to miss. Let me just get a little bit of that. Imagine if you didn't listen to your dreams for years, decades, and you end up on your deathbed and realise all the things you did, all the time you wasted, meant nothing. All you wanted was to love more and pursue some stupid, silly dreams more. Isn't that all you wanted? Isn't that just the healthiest thing? Who inspired you to paint? Grammar. Great question. Let me just catch up on the comments and I'm going to leap on that. Seb, what are you drawing today? Love from Slavinia. Element, welcome on. And we're painting, I'm calling him Little Fisher Boy right now. Sorry, Little Fishing Man. But the name is undecided. But I really enjoy this one. It's a square painting. So usually we're working on portraits or landscapes, but this one in particular is that square format. So a lot to be liked in that. And can have a sip and paint after putting, yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Have a sip and paint after putting the kid to bed. You can do that, that's true. That's an option that's open to me and Shelby. We haven't done it yet. There's so much more to do. No, okay, so with what inspired me to paint, we talked about this yesterday, and I'm going to give the same reply because in the period of 24 hours, my opinions on this haven't actually altered a huge amount. And sometimes they can, but like in this case here, you don't get inspired to paint. I don't think you feel a moment of inspiration to decide, I'm going to be an artist. I think you get motivated towards it. I think motivation pushes you to paint, and the process itself inspires you. That's what I believe. Because the process itself has to inspire you. If you're going to envelop yourself in it and lose yourself in it, then you need to take that battery of perpetual energy with you. And if it's external to the painting, you will suffer from burnout. But if the fun of painting itself inspires you, you kind of brought a permanent battery with you to your craft, with you to that crazy, crazy element of art. Got to bring the battery with you. Here we go. Beautiful, beautiful, powerful pigments. Just splash those through here. This is the second layer that we've done on this work. So we've already given it one layer, and this is number two. And you can see how in a few little pockets, that detail is just starting to grow out just a little bit more. Get a little bit more free, a little bit more wild. I've got to remember not to lean up too close to the work. I just stand back just a little bit and allow it to breathe, but there's this temptation just to go in there too close and just to keep adding in paint. Because with this paint, you know when there's something really beautiful, alluring in front of you, and you just want to lean into it and see it closer and closer and closer, as if I can put my face right up to it, I'll get more out of it, more energy, more of its essence by being right beside it. that's that feeling you get. But actually, you're going to step back just a little bit and see that bigger picture, but it's just so alluring. You've got to just keep your face close to it. Irresistible. If anything, this artist needs a little bit more white. But we'll manage without it for now. So I just splash around these colours. I'll just get a little bit of peach in here. Maybe a touch of white. Here we go. This is the one here. White's the one colour that you'll tend to run out of a lot. Looks like your skills are super. Oh, thanks, user. Not everyone thinks so, and that's healthy. The biggest mistake you can make as an artist is trying to simultaneously complete everyone on the face of the planet, and the problem that can come in there is just like you as a lover, as an individual, as a friend, you wouldn't possibly appeal to everyone. Not everyone wants to be your friend. Not everyone wants to be your lover, your partner. But some people will. And so that line, find your people, becomes ever so prominent. Your job is to find people that actually, you go to where you're celebrated, not to where you're tolerated. That's the secret to actually creating art from your heart, not just airy-fairy nonsense. A projection of yourself that you think will placate other people. How unhealthy is that? How unsustainable is that? We've all done it. I'm not going to lie, we've all done it when we've tried to create an individual that we think other people want to see. Did it last? Maybe it's still lasting for us. It can't last. It can't last. It's going to run itself out. Either it'll run itself out or everyone will find out. And you'll get no satisfaction from it. It'll just slowly wear you down. So what you actually want, you actually just wanted permission for a brief moment to be yourself. And if you got that just for a brief moment, you'd see that actually, with a bit of luck, people in that room thought you were kind of cool. People liked who you were on the inside. You just need the courage for a brief moment to expose yourself, to be vulnerable. That's the scariest thing. That fear of actually being vulnerable around others. See, I feel like we all have moments through primary school, as kids, from high school, wherever, where no matter how hard we tried, we would just gain an understanding that actually on the inside, we believed we were ugly and that people wouldn't like what they saw. But, if for a brief moment we had the courage to actually be the child we were on the inside, to be the person we were on the inside as a young individual, as a child, and to have that part of us accepted, that's the real euphoria that we look for in the world. That's the real lose yourself, worth giving everything for kind of feeling. Hey Flossie, welcome on in. Happy New Year's. And so every live goes into replays on YouTube. That is correct. Now, they're not categorized in the best of ways, and they lack a bit of the descriptions, but you will find them all there. And I do my best to make the banner photo an actual picture from the live, so that way you can actually go, okay, I remember that was the picture, or that's what he was wearing, or that was the background, or whatever, so you can actually track certain lives. But it needs improving. But at the end of the day, guys, this is where the hammer meets the anvil. We're here in person, we're hanging out, we're making a picture. That's what I care about the most. I'm intrigued, how many plates do you buy for your colours, or do you borrow your partner's dinner? Poor primary schools. No. I had a great time in primary school and high school, make no mistake. But I think that my own experience and everyone's experience in your own little way, you do actually have moments that make you feel like you should put up a face or a mask and pretend to be someone else, because everyone will like that person more. As if the best person to walk into the room is not you, but a version of you believe everyone else will like. And that's a dangerous thing, because that's an exhausting thing and an unsustainable thing. And at the end of the day, if your dreams are at stake, it denies those from being reality. In your dreams, you'd imagine everyone would love you for who you are. So don't deny the chance of that being the case. Now, these plates are washable, and these paints come off very easily. So that's easy enough to do. But I do understand where you're coming from. And that should be a genuine concern. Now, if you are using plates though, here's a beautiful thing. If you are using plates, get them from an op shop. Don't buy them new, because a couple of reasons. First off, it's expensive. But second off, from an op shop, the money you use in the purchase of the plate is going to go to charity. An op shop's a New Zealand word for thrift store. So it depends on the thrift store, guys. If your thrift stores don't work like New Zealand ones, then yeah, maybe it won't work like that. But if it does, fantastic trick. And Crazy Monsoon. Or is that Crazy Mongoose? I am left-handed. You are correctos. So, that is a fact. There we go. Gorgeous. Let's stand back for a moment. Just have a little look-see at this piece. Yeah, it's pretty fun. We're just going to dabble around with just a little bit more black. They kick off with the royal purples into the blacks, because this body here just needs a little bit more through it. Because this is our main silhouette. This is our fishing man. I say fishing man, it's a young boy. And on this day, he caught his first fish. And I think, as a metaphor, we've all experienced that. And even in reality, a lot of us have experienced that. So that's kind of fun. Okay, we're getting asked for our opinions on a wooden pellet. This is an interesting question, a wooden pellet. Look guys, I find, first off, before I answer this, whatever you prefer is the right answer. The last thing you want to do is hear someone else's feedback, assume it's gospel, and run off in that direction. Now I'm going to say that I like porcelain. I love an actual plate, and you can see the way the paint moves and flows over this incredibly smooth surface is my favourite way to paint. If you drop it, it might smash. That's a risky run. Is it worth it? Absolutely it's worth it. So, I would say porcelain's my favourite, but if you like wood, you do the wood thing, baby. You ignore me. Right up. You're so cool. I love your drawings and the ambience you have in your live streams. Just wow, 10 out of 10. You legend. I appreciate you being here. And hey, Henny, so great to listen to you and your knowledge, sense of painting, and colourful. Oh, thanks, guys. That's really nice of you all. I really appreciate it. I really, really appreciate it. Well, you're about to be less enthusiastic as that sun dips down, that next little part, because it's about to get very, very murky on the colour front. And while it will still be nice, we might lose some of that amazing saturation just as that sun dips that little bit down. There we go. A little more magenta through here. There we go. Lovely. I always do love the evenings as well, because when you paint in the evenings, just the heat's all gone, and so you can feel that nice little shiver up your back. You can hear a few bugs chirping away, the birds going to sleep, and right on sunset, all of the colours just become, oh my god. The clouds over there are absolutely nuts. They look like a painting. But I always love how these trees change so much. So if you do watch the replay on this, or if you've been watching the live from the start, how they went from those sort of golden trunks and those flares of gold, like gold leaf up in the leaves, to change into being these more greenish trees, earthy, and then into just black silhouettes. It's quite a fun change to have on there. Now these are neither oil or acrylics. They do have acrylic polymer in them, which means they actually seal themselves, so they can't be rehydrated with water. But what they actually are made up of is a pigment very, very similar to what's found in gouache. It's a thick, fat pigment chunks. And those fatter pigment chunks means that the colours, and maybe you can tell from the stream, are more intense in this picture than you'll find almost anywhere else. Now, why do we want that intensity, and what do we trade? Because nothing's free. To get that intensity, we trade the glossy nature of the paint. It becomes out more matte, which means it sucks up light and doesn't reflect it. Now, we can change that with varnishes and things, but through the process of making the painting, the colors will absolutely pop off the face of it. That's everything I ever want. I just want to play with color. I just want to play with those thick, strong hits of saturation. That's all I want. Because I think there's a million and one ways to get shine, guys. I think cars are shiny. I think that's great. And sometimes shining a painting, it's also great. But getting that beautiful color, I feel like that's not just something you should do, but the responsibility of painting. The responsibility. There we go. Lovely. Now I'm going to need a bunch of this. That's the white. Splice that through. Just going to cut it. There's these lovely waves that are actually streaming through these parts. I just want to make sure I capture them just like that. And then just up here beside the head. And then just here beside this, we get those big thick lugs of paint on that brush and just stream through here. Beautiful all the way through here. I'm going to need just a little bit more blacks because there's actually pretty juicy slice that I need to do. So let's get that sorted. Here we go. A little bit of black. Beautiful. Seb, you usually have a picture of what you're painting, if not here. I do. So this one here is our picture. It's a lovely boy by a lake, and he's fishing. And that actually, I'm glad you asked, because that's actually where the next stroke's going to go. I'm going to get a bunch of black on this brush, and then it's going to go like this. Delicate, bulge, slip, and tuck. Beautiful. And then the next thing we're going to do is just up the brush. It's going to go whoop, 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 whoop. Beautiful. And the next thing, just down in the water here, that's where it lands. Perfect. So that's the fishing rod coming in there. Have you ever considered doing ASMR painting, drawing videos? I think people would really love them. Oh, look, it is a thing. And I love that that's a thing. I love just making art with you guys. I love getting stuck in a few conversations, having a few agreements and disagreements, and just making some art. And I feel like as we do that, like in this picture here, this is the little fishing man. And I feel like he's going to a special place because we're here having a collaborative journey, making the art together. I feel, and I really do feel, if I made this by myself, we'd get a very different product. It wouldn't have the same energy behind it, and that would be a real shame. So it's a very, very fun picture. That being said, it's a fun picture with a bit more to add to it. That wind's picking up. It's trying to say, hey. It's always like a conversation with Mother Nature, where you kind of hear that wind ripping through, and you think, okay, is old Mother N telling me to actually hit the track? What's going on here? And sometimes she is. Sometimes she comes in with rain and wind and all sorts of things. And she warned me. She warned me. But actually, at the moment, I think we're okay. I think our only job is just to enjoy the last few colours that we have on this palette with those last little bits of dying light. And I feel like that's enough. I see a comment there about community. I love that, so I'm going to read that. Hold on, team. Coming on in here. Thoughts also count. Love the way you see it as a yeah, hang out with the community. It's that, but also understand that when you paint, and if you're an artist, you'll know this, art's a solitary pursuit. You do it by yourself. Oh my God, hold on. Guys, can I take you for a little bit of a tour here? Now there's clouds over there. They're not very visible. They're way over there, but they look like a cartoon. But it's these ones over here I want to show you. This is why, you see these clouds up here? This is why people become cloud painters. This abstract beauty that just lingers in the sky and creates these amazing, absolutely spiritual things. But I like the trees. So we're faced this way, which we do have some clouds, but I'm a landscape guy. I like seeing the environment around me. That's what I'm big on. All right, let me just bring you back here. Bring you up to here again. There we go. Put you right there. Was that where we were before? I think it's close to. Here we go. Perfect. And can you please show your picture you're working from again? I think we did health and wellness, did we? From behind. Here we go. Boy fishing. Ooh. So we're a little bit off the play there. Let me bring you. There we go. So we got boy fishing. He's on a lake in America. And he's catching his first fish. At the end of this day, he'll have caught 6 fish. And we get the honour and the pleasure of bringing that painting to life. And the goal is, and you might have seen it between the two pictures, to capture colours in this shot here that liven up this image to be less than just a silhouette of a boy at the lake, but capturing a moment of a boy effectively in a small way crossing the bridge of adolescence and his own journey to becoming an adult. And I think that's pretty special. Coming on down here. Yeah, perfect. Perfect. So going back to that solo pursuit in art, you got to be careful if you're an artist and you pursue art as a solo endeavour, because what's going to inevitably happen is if you're alone, you can tend to lean more towards a numbness, an isolation, and a loneliness. Literally, we don't have to call them causally connected, but certainly a correlation if you work alone. And in that lonesome work, yes, you may discover arcs of genius, but you may risk the work not containing that vibrant joy. How do you fix that? Build connection into the art. How can you collaborate? How can you involve? How can you bring people on the process with you to not only give people more from how the art came into existence, but actually to boost yourself up, to make me better, to make the art better, because it won't be lonely, it won't be solitary, it'll be something done together, something made together, something where every stroke that landed, there was more than one person involved. There was at the very least 2, and with 2 people, suddenly, not just the result, but the process itself is building connection. And that in my mind, makes every single stroke on this canvas absolutely worthwhile. We could argue about the value in the result, but the value in the process is astronomical, is uncalculable, is I don't know, someone find a word that I'm struggling to find right now. Pull out a thesaurus and search for good. Anyway, sorry. I grabbed a little bit more white just then, crushing it into the peach, and with a bit of black on it, it's going to give us a mild grey, actually, of all colours, which is quite fun. And now I just want to get the other sides with these little waves. I'm not afraid if the brush starts doing a bit more dry brushing. Typically I like the brush wet, just sliding around the canvas, slapping paint everywhere. But sometimes a little bit of dry brushing is going to allow you to just unlock a few more little pockets of texture that a wet brush simply can't get to. You need a mixture. You need to do both. And a good painting with a mixture of thick, strong strokes, smaller, more intricate strokes, wet strokes, and dry strokes. And without that, you deny the painting something pretty special. gorgeous. Need to be here as well. That's where that wants to go. Absolutely lovely. A bit more there, and then just up. It just kind of kisses the tops of these trees. I always try and make the line between mountains and sky less of a cut line and more of a relationship between the two. If you can get the two actually bouncing backwards and forwards, so there's an argument or a conversation going on where the skyline actually starts, because there's this ongoing relationship between the paint strokes defining the sky or the mountain simultaneously, rather than one than the next. I find more personality can come into the mountains that way. Mountains, skylines, basically anything. Hello Ryan, welcome on in. And painting classes, well, jeepers. Could you say you're in a painting class right now? It's an informal one. You didn't pay a ticket. But for a brief moment, could we say that even if something was free, it could have value? And in one of my random ramblings while I make art, that you could perceive something that would actually make you a better artist in your own way. You don't need to paint like this. There's already a me out there. You don't need to be me. And honestly, I reckon the best version of you is better than this. In your own field, at your own medium. Find that. A lot of the times the paint classes you'll go to, you'll actually get told how to be like someone else. And while it feels secure to become more like someone else because people seem to like that, there's a special element in you. And a good painting class would never try and mold you into something. It would try and educate you in what you could become. And when I say that, I use the word educate like the Greeks used it, to bring out, not to force in. Remember that, the definition, to bring out, to educate. And a lot of the time, painting classes become a class where you teach, as if the person's a box and you're just filling it with books. And when it's full to the top, you close the lid and say, right, you've been taught, congratulations, good luck. Yet you don't feel any different, yet you don't feel any greater. And actually, a real class, and not just with painting, but anything in the creative front, is a class where there's a box, that's the person, and the lid is opened in the class. And then the person then has permission, or the ability to, or feels comfortable enough to, pull out things that are already in their box to help them better understand what's on the inside and who they are as of themselves. And if they can do that, they don't need a book thrown in there. They need the correct parts pulled out. And once they know what they're working with, what's inside their personal box and what makes them them, you can go off and read a book. You can go off and watch any YouTube video, learn whatever you want to learn. But without an understanding of that box, what's inside you, what can be brought out, there's no need for any of it. That's what I believe. There's like a figurative art painter of some sort watching this being like, no, I will teach you. You will learn. And look, guys, there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to learn how to do lovely looking people, and you want to do them exactly the same as someone else does them, and you want someone to feel the exact same things, and hopefully, in some way, maybe through that replication, become a great craftsman, I encourage it. I really do. Do that. But if for a brief moment you want to lose yourself in a flow state, feel something raw, authentic, and real, and hopefully, in that wild, vulnerable, weird little moment, create something that when someone else sees it, they feel what you felt. There's no greater euphoria. Nothing. No greater euphoria in the whole world than truly, in some small way, just being seen. Right. On that note, I am out of paint. So, it's been an absolute pleasure being here, guys. We've put our second layer down on our little fishing man. Let me spin him around to face you. Here we go. We're going to straighten him up a little bit. Oh, can't let things like that fall. But that's why you paint on boards. See that? Far stronger. They'll look after themselves. And luckily, this isn't Schrödinger's toast. If that landed flat, un desastre. Right, let's put this here. That's where we've got to there. There is another layer coming, absolutely, definitely. But that there is where we're at, our little fishing man. The colour palette is exactly where we want it to be. And that kind of concerns me because we've got more layers to add. And I don't want to, if I get too attached with what's there, I can't take the painting to where it needs to be. So we'll see what happens, but that's quite fun. How's my day going, Waylon? Fantastic. And how long does it take those thick strokes to dry? Okay, this is a special kind of paint. You won't often see it. This is one that's made from basically a hybrid between acrylic and gouache paint. No one really knows what gouache is. Gouache is basically a watercolor paint. If pigment particles are this size, gouache are this size. They're bigger particles. They suck in light and show more color rather than reflect with a glossy coat. Now, if you combine that with acrylic, the biggest drawback of gouache is when it dries, you can reactivate it with water. No good. Now we can't layer. With acrylics combined into the gouaches though, now we've got a paint pigment that actually sets onto the surface, and I can layer with this aggressive kind of style and keep that pigment of color. You saw me. I wasn't adding a lot of paint, but inside the paint I did add, look at the color. Look at the color. And I can keep on adding on that surface, so that's quite fun. Apart from that, guys, wherever you are in this big old world, I wish you all the best, and I hope that if it's daytime or nighttime, you have a great day or a great night. Cheers, team. Bye, guys.